Assuming you already know the basics of how if-else statements work, let's jump into this Java tutorial. Today, we'll be using one compiler, since you can run your code as many times as you want without installing anything. Perfect for trying out programming. Start by selecting Java as the language. You'll see some boilerplate code appear automatically. If you click Run or press Ctrl-Enter, the code executes and the output appears on the right. Right now, it simply prints Hello World. Let's create a basic if-else example. Let me just quickly cut this system.out.println for later. First, let's make a Boolean variable. You remember what Boolean is, right? Boolean I need socks equals false semicolon. Just pointing out here that Java statements end in a semicolon. We'll be using this a lot. This statement means I don't need socks. If, open bracket, I need socks, close bracket, open curly bracket. When you put a Boolean variable inside an if condition, the condition passes only if the value is true. You may have noticed the editor auto-added the closing bracket and curly bracket. Inside the curly bracket, add system.out.println, which I cut earlier, but change Hello World to I will need socks, like so. Now, just after the closing curly bracket, let's add our else. Open curly bracket. On a new line, let's add system.out.println, I will keep browsing. Make sure you have your closing curly bracket and your semicolon at the end of println. Now, let's run the program. Since I need socks is false, the console prints, I will keep browsing. If you change it to true like this, it prints, I will buy socks. Straightforward so far, right? Now let's explore how we can add another condition with logical operators. Let's add a new variable. Double percentage off equals 0.70 semicolon. This represents 70% off the original price in decimal form. Now we'll use the OR operator. OR means at least one condition must be true. In our new condition, we will check whether I need socks is true or percentage off is greater than or equal to 70%. So the full statement becomes, if I need socks, or, with two pipes, percentage off is greater than or equal to 0.70. With our current code, what do you think will be printed out in the console? Let's find out. We got, I will buy socks, because both conditions are currently true. Is that what you got? Now let's test another scenario. Change the discount to something low, like 10%, and run it. You'll still buy the socks because I need socks is true. Remember, with ORs, only one condition needs to be true. To test that theory, set I need socks to false and run it again. Now we see I will keep browsing. That's because both conditions are now false, so the OR fails. Let's change the OR to an AND, represented by two ampersands. AND means both conditions need to be true. With our OR replaced with AND, what do you think the outcome will be, given the current code? Let's run it and find out. We got, I will keep browsing. That is because I don't need socks and the percentage off is only 10%. Let's increase the discount to 80%. And run the code. Looks like I'm still browsing. Finally, set I need socks to true and run it again. Now I will buy the socks because both conditions passed. This AND example fits the cost of living crisis perfectly. Only buy what you need and if it's on a big sale. If anything didn't make sense, feel free to ask questions in the comments below. I'm here to help. Next up, if without the else. For this section, I'm going to add some console logs so it feels like we're following a set of instructions. Outside the if statement, I'll add my has entered the store and has begun browsing. So when we run our code, this is the first action I will always take. Next, inside the if block, I will change the message to my will buy the socks and leave the store. And after the entire if statement, I'll add my has left the store disappointed. What am I leading up to? I'm about to show you how to use an if statement without an else. Let me remove the else so you can see the flow. Right now, the program would print my has entered the store and has begun browsing. My will buy the socks and leave the store. My has left the store disappointed. Which obviously doesn't make sense. If I buy socks at a sweet discount, I'm not leaving disappointed. Since we've met our objective, buy socks, we should end the instructions early. We can do this inside the if block using the return keyword. Return immediately exits the method, so anything after it won't run. Run the program now. You'll see the path is my has entered the store and has begun browsing. My will buy the socks and leave the store. Perfect. I need socks and there's an 80% discount. Let's try another path now. Change the discount to something more realistic. 10% will do. Run it again. Now the output is my has entered the store and has begun browsing. My has left the store disappointed. This makes sense. The discount isn't good enough, so we never enter the if block and the default action runs. Now let's move on to our final lesson. Starting with a blank slate, imagine the item I've just seen on the shelf is a pair of glasses. Now imagine I also have a shopping list, and the first item on that list is a shirt. To compare two strings in Java exactly as they are, take your string variable, in this case, item seen, type dot, then equals, with round opening and closing brackets. Inside the brackets, with no spaces, put the string you want to compare. So in double quotation marks, type shirt, to signify this is the other string you want to compare the first to. If the two strings match exactly, this returns true. If not, it returns false. Pro tip, when comparing two strings or objects in Java, don't use double equals. In many languages, double equals compares the actual text, but Java checks whether both objects point to the same memory location, so two strings that look identical will still evaluate to false. Moving on, let's add a console log for when the item seen is a shirt. Adding item to basket. Now let's add an else if statement. This only runs if the first if fails. The new condition will check for whether item seen equals socks. If so, we print adding socks to basket. Next, add one more else if to check whether the item is a coat. And finally, if none of the conditions match, we'll add a default action inside an else. Move on to next display item. Now that everything is set up, what do you think will happen with the current code? Let's run it and find out. Hang on. Okay. Here's a bonus lesson I definitely planned and absolutely did not stumble onto by accident, I assure you. If you see the error, reached end of file while passing close curly brackets, it means you're missing a closing curly bracket somewhere. In Java, and in a bunch of other languages, every opening curly bracket needs a closing curly bracket. They're like socks. They come in pairs and losing one just ruins your whole day. Anyway, back to our scenario. Since glasses aren't on the shopping list, the code skips all the earlier checks and drops straight into the else statement, where we move on to next display item. Now let's change item seen to something that is on the list. Socks. Run it again. The flow goes, check if the item is a shirt. Nope. Check if the item is socks. Yes. Enter the else if and print, adding socks to basket. Perfect. Now let's try one more. Change the item to coat. Run it. The program checks. Shirt? No. Socks? No. Coat? Yes. Everything works exactly as expected. And that wraps up the tutorial on writing if-else statements in Java. I hope you found this useful. If you did, feel free to give this video a like or drop a comment below. And if you want to learn how to write if-else statements in C# or Python, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss them. Until then, this is Micro logging out.